The following presentation may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Fighting our man! Whoa! Oh, shit! Whoa! 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 No! Whoa! Whoa! They just beat that old nigga ass! Whoa! Chill! Whoa! 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 He thrashed this shit! Whoa! He thrashed it! Whoa! They just thrashed me! Whoa! They just thrashed the fuck out of here! Whoa!
Hello, my name is Xavier Mercado, and this is Spearhead Conversations. The footage you just watched took place September 11th, 2024. Today I'm sitting with Felipe Martinez, son of Freddie Vega, who was one of 3 victims that, heinously was attacked that day. Today, we're here to raise awareness, bring resolve, and find solution. That way this never happens again, and we can strengthen as a community. So without further ado, thank you, Felipe, for bringing me in, inviting me, and sharing this time to go over the events that took place.
No, thank you, man.
Man, how you doing?
Not too bad, personally. Can't say too much about my father. Is probably the real issue. Myself. You have so many thoughts throughout the day, and then he calls me on the regular, so it's like you can kind of hear it on him. So it affects you mentally, especially when you can't do nothing physically for him.
Yeah, it's traumatic, man. I mean, going through the motions, and you know what I mean. What were your feelings when you watched that video for the first time?
Well, when I got there, I was really in disbelief because I received a phone call, and the phone call was about him being jumped, and
Yes.
I'm like, what? Like my dad being jumped?
Yeah.
So you're in shock for the moment. Then when you pull up and then you see it,
Yeah.
oh, like you're in disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
That was one moment. He was barely being cleaned up because the paramedics weren't there at the moment, and the officers trying to attend to him. And as I was sitting there talking to them and whatnot, my phone was going off. So when I realized it was the messages and videos, was already surfacing. So then when I saw the video, it was like, infuriating in a sense. Like, nah, this can't be it. Like, you can't believe it.
You're in shock.
Yeah, it's like, nah, there's no way.
Yeah.
And like, why would you do this? That's the main question.
Yeah.
So,
how's the family? Everyone has to,
it's crazy because everyone's entitled to feel how they feel or what they see or how they see him. Maybe because his spirits are still. He's a strong man. You know what I'm saying? So he's still smiling and cracking jokes here and there, but in my mind, nothing's funny. So I'm just like, I can't see how they can see past the physical presence, like his face for one. It's like, so they're more, I guess, optimistic.
Yeah.
Oh, he's happy or he's here. Things could be worse. And in my mind, it's like, what if they were? Because again, the state of his health and things that go along with that, and then again, he's a 63 fragile old man.
Yeah.
So
he this happened on September 11th. It's been over a week. How has his health improved since?
Well, he had a follow up on Saturday, and up until Saturday, they couldn't clean his face.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear that, man.
And I think that's, like I said, that's why things were bothering me, because I personally couldn't look at him. But they couldn't clean his face until this follow-up, and I didn't get to see him after that, till yesterday. But then, up until that point, then the follow-up, he got cleaned up, mainly because of the open wounds, the stitches, and then the medication that they applied,
Yeah.
Topically. Today, again, being cleaned up, is a lot better than it was, obviously, from the beginning. But, I kind of don't want to go into details on how it looks, but, there's...
It's damage.
Yeah. It's not, you can't hide it. That's what it is.
We sat down here. You contacted me, and I'll let you know when I first saw the video. I teared up. I cried because that could be my abuelo or my tío or my cousin or anyone I love, but then I found out it was you, and I'm from the south side of Milwaukee. I know you and the adversity you've been through, and just the journey you've overcame. And when I found out it was your dad, it was more so a take back. What do you hope to achieve by stepping out of the shadow and speaking?
I mean, it's more so like, it's hard to achieve. It's one person. I said this before, and it's random to us, right? Because it's my father, and you wouldn't expect for something like this to happen, right? But it happens.
Yeah.
So how do you create change, or how do you force change, right? And then if the people aren't taking accountability, the people that are in the position to take accountability and put in things like protocol, certain procedures and stipulations, and a game plan to avoid these situations.
Yeah.
Because again, what if something worse happened?
Yep.
Right? And then I said this again, and I think it's like beating a dead horse almost. What if it was, and this is not going into like trying to toot my own horn or any type of recognition, because that's irrelevant.
Yeah.
But if it was someone that it was just an average guy, that would have been shared
The way it was.
right?
Yeah.
And then that goes into other things like, okay, what if it was a white man?
Yeah.
Then what? Then we'd really be they're trying to say it's a race thing and this and that, but if it was a white man, we really would be talking about race.
Yeah.
Right? And the sad part about this, too, is that if it was a black man, whether this side of town or the other side of town, would we be talking about it?
What do you feel could have been implemented to prevent this type of event? I mean, it's...
It's crazy. I'm kind of facing certain things with one of my businesses, right? And it's a plan of action. They're on me about a plan of action. And they talk about capacity. How do you dictate the amount of staff for your capacity, meaning security or even bartenders or whatever. And it goes into the same thing with the school buildings, MPS in general. We're talking about tech right now. What is the plan of action? Because school's been only in session for what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
And this is their second major incident.
Wow.
And that's within the 2 weeks. So it hadn't even been 2 weeks when this incident occurred. If these incidents been occurring from the year prior, why hasn't anything been done? And again, would they take it more serious had this man died?
Yep.
Right? So what is their plan of action? Why? I mean, back in the day, they used to have to force you to get on the bus or force you to get to your location, go where you need to be.
Yeah.
But what we're hearing now is, once they leave our premises, we have no control over them.
Yeah.
But they're coming from here and not going to where they're supposed to go. Is there any after-school programs that they could be involved in? What? Those are options, right?
Yeah.
So things like that should be taken into account.
you know, as an entrepreneur in the area, you have 4 establishments in this general area, or
Yeah, 3 generally down within, what is that, 5 blocks?
yeah.
And then I have another one on the north side.
Okay. Before this event, how was it for you to see students that would come from tech, and because they do come towards your area?
Yeah,
don't
I
they?
mean,
Have you-
ironically, I service some of those kids. Haircuts.
Okay.
You know, we contribute to the school. We
For sure.
donate. We have events, and they're a part of it. You know, there's 2, 3 schools in within 3-5 block radius.
Yeah.
And we're involved with them. So
And that's you're talking about flipping style.
yes.
Okay, got you. How do you feel the community can come together to assure a safer type of neighborhood community?
Well, it would have to go back to those plan of actions, right? And then if no one is speaking up,
Yeah.
then nothing's going to get done. And I'm actually, I have to take accountability on that because I wasn't speaking up until this point.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh, they're not going to hear me out. Or, you know, I'm only one person. But then if someone's in the front line and it's making sense, then people need to support that. And even if you don't, if you're being objected to something and you see it another way, then that's where the conversation starts. So then you create a happy medium, right, where everybody's happy. I mean, you're not going to make everyone happy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But you're ensuring support, you're ensuring safety, and you're showing people that you care.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest issue, you know, in the community. Because then it comes down, I'm only worried about myself, or I'm only worried about my property and my business.
Yeah.
But you're looking at how many customers do you service or deal with on a daily basis. And some of those customers, those are those kids. Same
Yeah.
kids that go to tech and the elementary school. So
You know, when you seen that video, you seen who was involved. There was also many who were just recording and not doing anything about that. If you could talk to those responsible that were involved, what do you feel you would say to them?
I mean, that's kind of a tough one. You know, I mentioned this before as well, is like you're taught basics right and wrong in elementary.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, by the time you get to high school, you're a young adult.
Yeah.
So you comprehend right and wrong,
Yeah.
right? Black and white. And at this point in age, you know what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
So what possesses you to do something like that?
Yeah.
And, you know, not all of us think before we act, because we act and then we think. That's the sad part about it. So that I think I would start with something like that, because you got to be conscious of your actions
Yep.
or your choices that lead to certain things, right? Cause and effect. I'm very big on cause and effect. So I think that would be the base of the conversation.
Yeah.
And going through this, I think the main I think that sparks the conversation is asking the question. So you ask the question, what would you do? You're talking to individual, the kids or the young adults, if that was your father or your grandpa or your uncle.
Yeah.
And then you go from there, because all those kids that was recording,
Yep.
they were laughing for whatever reason, enjoying the moment, right? Recording. And up until they saw my father get up, then they instantly felt remorseful.
Once they seen the blood and everything.
Now it's, oh,
yeah.
shit, I fucked up.
Yeah.
And then they care, right? Everyone cares when you get caught. They always feel different when you get caught, right? And I'm sure you can agree to that.
Oh, for sure.
I've done it myself. Like,
Yep.
you know, you don't feel the way until you get caught.
It's the reality and the consequences.
The
that,
consequences. Now
yeah.
you know, like, damn, you know, and then you want to try and correct it in the moment. But before that, these are your friends, these are your peers. It was okay,
Yeah.
right? For what it looked like, maybe 2 minutes?
Yeah.
It was okay. How is that okay? So again, when you go back and you ask that question first, if that was your dad, your mom, your uncle, your family member, whatever,
Yep.
how would you take it? What would you do? How would you feel?
It's tough to watch, because we live in a day and time where people see things like this happen all around the world, and instead of the first response being, okay, let's try to diffuse it or get in the way of letting something happen, it's let's pull out our phone and let's record. Let's get it on our Snapchat. Oh my God, this, you know what I mean? It'll go viral, which in this case, this did go viral.
Yeah.
You gained attention. Elon Musk even commented on the story.
Yeah, which is crazy.
What was that like, man?
Well, people was sending it to me. I'm not on Twitter. Social media already gets enough attention, right?
Yeah.
But when I was receiving the messages, it was like 4 of them back to back, and I'm just like, obviously I know who the man is.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, right? It's like,
Yeah.
But again, that's the power of social media.
How do you feel local authorities, community leaders? First off, how have you felt about their response, and what do you feel can be done to, just offer this event just better themselves
I laugh because it's like, you got to be real about it, right?
Yeah.
It comes down to beneficial convenience. I've been saying this these last few months because of everything that I'm dealing with. As far as their response, and it kind of just goes back and talking about with the kids, right? Because when you see what's about to happen and the consequences, then there's a change in the emotional part, right?
Yep.
So in front of you, hey, Mr. Martinez, this, and that, so sorry, all that.
Yeah.
But then MPS and MPD put out a statement after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
No one's taking accountability, or it didn't happen on school grounds, so we're not liable. And that's like saying...
It's a smack in the face.
Right. So you mean to tell me these kids, this altercation that started at the school, rolled on to this, and you're not at fault, but these kids are from your school. That's like you as a parent, or me myself.
Yeah.
Well, shit, as soon as my kid leaves my house, that motherfucker ain't under my control.
Yeah.
But let my kid do something, who's going to be charged?
Yep.
And then as far as the MPD, again, they're pushing a narrative here, right? Where it's, what would you say, retaliation?
Mm-hmm.
Versus, again, we're sorry, how's your father doing? We're looking to do this to ensure safety moving forward. But instead, it's a fear factor of retaliation and what can come from this if it was racially motivated or not, or if there's some type of gameplay here. Like, where would that even come from?
How do you feel about like education as far as are kids being taught this in school? Like, because man, from what I hear, I got 4 kids, man. My oldest is in high school. This is her first year, but it ain't like how it was when I was in school, man.
Yeah. It's school and parents. Like it comes down to it, and my mother is, I understand some of these kids' situations because that's where I come from. For a long period of time, my mother raised us by herself. I'm the oldest of 5.
Yeah.
Right. But she still held she still held up her end of responsibility as a parent.
Yeah.
Whether single or not, it doesn't matter. She never gave up, and she probably pushed me harder than, you look back, understanding why she did that, right? So it starts at the house, and then it continues on with the school, because a lot of those teachers are parents themselves.
Yeah.
So, then you ask the question, well, what if it was your kid? How would you want them to learn? Or how would you want them to understand? How do you get them to listen? Mm-hmm. Everyone says, oh, we can't control these kids. You stop caring at one point.
Yeah.
So, you have to put in work. You have to put in work. No one wants to do that.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Man. Well, your father was one of 3?
Mm-hmm.
And
my uncle was the other one, Jesus Andino.
Okay. And who was the third one? Do you know the third one? Or?
Yeah, Jessito. I don't
Okay.
have his last name offhand, but Jessito
Okay.
was the other one.
How are they doing?
My uncle, pretty banged up. He was a little more active, I guess, in trying to fight him off or like stand up. He stood his ground for as long as he could.
Yeah.
Up until you can see it in the video, he stood up with them up until he got pinched between that car and that wall.
Yep.
And that's when he fell, and that's the
Toppled.
yeah. So then at that point you can see, and then now seeing him and seeing the damages, it stemmed from that particular part.
Yeah.
The other gentleman, as they were all running back, he was running back. They must have hit him with the book bag, a couple of things, and he was running. He stayed on his feet the whole time running back as he was being attacked. So he kind of got the lesser of it, but he got cut in his face as well. His arm was pretty banged up, obviously from trying to block, block himself and whatnot.
So going into the weekend that after this took place, how did the community respond?
Very supportive. I guess what surprised me was how many people I actually knew.
Yeah.
Not just know you or know of them. I've actually had dealings with them, worked with them, numerous things.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, stories that I didn't hear about my dad.
Yeah.
That was like the biggest part. Like, oh, your dad did this for me, or this. I didn't know that was your dad, but he did this for me. Like, so many things. And then this one, I think, was the icing on the cake. So, if you know my father, and if you follow me, I post him often. And 9 times out of 10, he's doing one or two things. He's either doing construction or playing music.
Yeah.
So the amount of people that message me saying, "Hey, is that the guy that plays that instrument?" And he's playing this shit while he's driving.
Yeah.
He'll be at a red light doing his thing. And the amount of people that said that in particular, like I told them about it. Like, hey, man, it's I think that was like I don't know if you want to say the care. You can feel the care or the love.
Yep.
Because you could see the type of person he is.
Yeah.
Right? And is not a care in the world. He's doing his thing. He's enjoying the moment. Like, so then when they see the video and it's like, oh man, why would they do that to that man?
Yeah. How has this changed your perspective on youth behavior and, just in general?
I mean, as I mentioned, man, I have my own history. I wasn't a straight kid either. You know what I'm saying? DT, jail, and our C program, boot camp. I went through all that stuff. So I get it. I get the attitude, the mentality. I understand that. So it doesn't change the perspective. I think it comes back to like me myself as being at my age. Being in the business, especially with the barbershop. With the barbershop, I think we play a big role in some of these young kids, right? So if I don't give them advice and give them my opinion, both what I wouldn't do and what I've done, then I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. Because then I'm not helping him. I can't control what he does outside of my shop and, the choices that he's making. But if I give him the advice and what I've done and what I wouldn't do, then then that's my responsibility. And that's where I think everything comes back to the parent, family members, and the community.
Yeah.
If you have experience in that light, then why aren't you shedding the knowledge on that?
Yeah. Well, following the event, the community responded with events itself. What were those events, and how did that make you feel?
So there was one particular the next day at Bradley Tech, happened at 3:00. It was like a peaceful rally. I can tell you offhand, Walter with the Brown Berets was there, Pancho with Team Havoc, Tammy Rivera with the Southside Organizers, David Muhammad from DHHS.
Yeah.
Von Mays, he's also...
Von Mays,
Von Mays. Me and him, we were kind of playing phone tag and trying to connect.
For sure.
Because they actually had a live the night of.
Yeah.
And, that went into some other things. So then I wanted to make sure I connected with him because I felt if they knew who I was,
Yep.
they should have reached out.
For sure.
I could have been a part of that. But, no wrong in it. But I
Yeah.
just wanted to, I could have contributed and help decipher certain things.
Yeah, for sure.
Before it got out of hand, Not that it did, but, everyone, opinions, and it grows. When you give all that stuff time to grow, it can turn into something else.
Yeah.
Right? So he showed up, and then we actually talked, and he was on live as well. And during that whole time of the rally and after, and we spoke a little bit in regards to that the night before. And then Juan Miguel Martinez, the county supervisor,
Yeah.
he was actually the only one.
He put out a statement. Yeah.
But he was the only one as far as city, what would you say?
Yeah.
City officials.
Officials that
The only one, and I've heard of him or have done some other things for the city or the county that, my shop was involved with, but never got to meet the man.
And that brings the question too, like what would you want to see from, as far as the authorities on their part and yeah, because you're telling me just Juan showed up?
Yeah, just one. As far as city officials,
Got you. Man.
Right. And then I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
A couple other people, very important people. My guy Compton for
sure.
414 Life. And then as far as the city officials and what was the other that you mentioned? Like MPD?
MPD, yeah.
It's funny because now at this point, like I said earlier, it's like, well, they weren't on premise. It's not our accountability. And then MPD is saying, oh, we're investigating.
Yeah.
Investigating what? The crime? The crime itself is self-explanatory, right?
Yeah.
Or they're investigating threats, right? But when it came down to asking, where was their part at it? What are they doing to eliminate the problem? They're still not even talking about that, right? So at this point, and we're talking about young adults, right? And that right now they're all pointing the finger. But if you listen to these statements that they put out, these adults are pointing the finger because no one wants to be blamed.
For sure.
So then what do you expect these kids to do?
What would you like to see from the response from a judicial standpoint?
I mean, they can't get a smack in the wrist. Like, I used this scenario earlier today. And again, being a kid that has a certain background, let's just go off of disorderly conduct tickets. I did whatever that covers, a disorderly conduct ticket, right? What is that? Maybe $60, $120 for that ticket. And again, my opinion, as a parent, I'm gonna make sure my child's responsible for that, right?
Yep.
You get a warrant, you don't pay it, that's on you. You learn to deal with your choices and consequences. So now, with something like this, that's that tragic, right? And it's happening over and over. That $60 and $120 ticket doesn't mean nothing. So if they implemented something where it was more of a serious consequence, like a $500 ticket or $1,000, even if it was $500 per the kid and the parent, I'm not saying it's going to stop, but it will for sure reduce the amount of people involved in recording or wanting to do something. Because then you hear this shit about, oh, they're just kids. Well, shit, I was just a kid and I still was being charged.
Yeah.
Right? Or my mother made it clear, you want to act like a man? Be responsible like a man.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a little difference in time, because we talk about that too. It's a generation and this and that. But it's because of that, the amount of care and the consequence part. Because up until recently, kids are doing whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
These tickets are nothing, or, they're not being held accountable. And it's a joke. Yep. So if you do something that's going to make it stick, then you see things, wouldn't progress.
Yeah.
So,
have you This is going to be a tough one. Have you forgiven them, or feel that in time you can forgive what was done?
I mean, you know, until you hear them speak, because you watch the video, you know, there's you can see that the action. So there's a couple questions that comes to mind with that, right? If you watch the video, it's like, where is this anger coming from?
Yeah,
To attack these old men,
for sure.
regardless of my family or not. If you watch the video, this is just a question across the board. Where is that anger coming from? What possesses you to attack these men like that, right? Because you can see it. It's not just fun and games. So that's, you know, in order to get to forgiving, you need to understand, right? And then someone needs to be accountable to forgive, or to understand and then forgive is a process. Right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So then you have that, and mind you, again, I say this all the time. I've been there. I know what some of those kids are feeling or going through because, you know, how I came up, right? Mm-hmm. So I can understand the ego, or in the momentum, you know, the rage. It's coming from somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. But in my time, you know, we talked about this. In my time, I wouldn't dare to touch an adult, let alone speak back to a motherfucker.
Yep.
Right?
That's just we cut from a different cloth, bro.
Right. So, and even now, I still, you know, like I said, I mentioned it. Back then, if I was in the corner store, I would help the lady carry her bags to the car, open the door for her. I still open doors for ladies.
Yep.
Right?
Chivalry's not dead.
No, I mean, you know, it's got to be in you, right? You know, it came from somewhere.
It's instilled in you.
You're right. So
it's just back in the day, especially being Hispanics. You know, if I talk back, I got popped in the mouth, bro.
Right. You wouldn't dare.
You wouldn't dare.
They'll check you on the spot.
Yep.
Right in front of everybody.
Yeah.
So that's what needs to happen. In front of everybody, you need to be embarrassed.
Yep.
Right. And you know, a motherfucker can sit here and say, "I'm sorry." But you're sorry because you got caught.
Yep.
Right? Because otherwise, what would you be doing next?
Yeah.
You know? So unless they also have a plan of action, or saying, yo, I don't want to face this ever again. You know, I get what I've done. I understand what I've done. You have that in play, in motion in that conversation, then that's when you consider like, okay, I understand. I get it. And I forgive you. Because guess what? These motherfuckers tell that to my dad. My dad's the type of man, he's better than me.
Yeah.
He fuck around and fix their toilet. After the fact. You get what I'm saying? Because that's the type of man he is. You know?
Yeah.
I just wouldn't fuck with you afterwards. I know where I place you. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I forgive you. We keep it moving. Mm-hmm. Good luck.
Going forward, what is the stance you want to take as far as this whole situation?
You know, again, as I mentioned, continuing to be heard, right?
Yeah.
Be a voice, because this was also an eye-opener. Because, you know, they're not going to listen, right? And it took for me to like, okay, now I got to speak up. And if I have the support and the following, then this is the time for us to utilize it and making sure that there's a plan of action moving forward, especially when they're driving that on me. Mm-hmm. Why isn't it reciprocated?
I appreciate you bringing me here. I appreciate having this conversation. I guess when you reached out, what I felt, and also just wanting to let you have that voice where you could tell, because it takes a lot to sit where you're sitting right now and be so level-headed about it, because most can't do that, especially with what took place. So I want to say to you, I commend you, I salute you, and I respect you, bro. My thoughts, my prayers, and I'm pretty sure everyone who will watch this feels the same way. Today you showed me what a true man is.
Thank you.
So I appreciate you coming on. Going forward, is there any else type of events you're going to be throwing together to, further of movement or
Yeah, I actually been working with Rocky. When
your move MK? Yep.
And she was also there at the rally. I don't know if I mentioned that a minute ago, but she's been very supportive. She was the first one to reach out and just be on board and like, hey, this is what we need to do. Like, if it wasn't for her strength too in helping me out, I don't know if I would really be as level headed. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to be patient with myself. But I've been helping her for a while. She actually used to use the shop before she had her space for a few years.
Yeah.
So the other thing, I think that it's been a conversation, even with my guys, again, we do it every day in the barbershop.
Yeah.
We talk to these kids, young men, but maybe creating something where I think the conversation is like a Big Brother program.
Yep. Yep.
So I think that might really get going versus having a thought, especially because, again, tech is down the block. There's another elementary school and a middle school over here. That's where it starts, So why not be the base for the community if we're already serving the community?
Got you. So, again, I thank you sharing this time with me. My prayers and from everyone else are with you and your family. You need anything, you let me know. Thank you again. And with that being said, Spearhead out.